Okay, good morning and welcome into Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole or Sharon or Cole, whatever you want to refer to me as. It doesn't matter. So, um, pretty loosey goosey here in general and fairly liberal. I wanted to come on for what is it, day 57? It's like Heinz 57, the ketchup, or it was the 57th Super Bowl and Philadelphia was in it. Of course, we didn't wind up pulling it out, but at least they got the Super Bowl ring, if you will, and we made it that far. But day 57 of a one video each day, 365-day campaign, raising money for a life lost. And I might as well pile on here a little bit of No Family Left Behind is kind of a campaign I started to think about as well. And in the past, I was thinking, oh, can I raise money for family members who really didn't gain from any assets or any large wills or estates or insurance or anything like that? We had some of us had a few passings well, actually 5 passings, technically. If one were to count everyone within an immediate family circle, and that would be mom, dad, aunt, or grandmother, grandfather, and great aunt, and a stepmother or great or grand stepmother, and great stepmother. Technically, we've gone down to even the greats because we have some technical great grandkids, if you will. I have a sister with 3 kids, and one of her kids got married and had 2 kids. So some of us lost those people, in addition to a nephew of mine, or my sister's youngest son, lost a dad last year. So pretty big deal to see so many people sort of pass away. And we come from a certain world, and there's only so many assets. And sadly, when it comes down to properties or insurance or anything like this, not much out there for for us. So other people might have benefited a little bit better just because of the way things panned out and unfolded. My sister and I grew up with a single mom for the most part, with some assistance from dad, but technically he spent most of our years growing up with someone else's kids. And in a way, that became a whole different dynamic. So we'll put it that way. So in a way, I feel like there have been a lot of family members who were left behind and out of conversations, if conversations were held by the ones who are adulting right now as they talk about financial portfolios and insurance and stuff like that. It's not that people aren't adults, they just didn't get included. And it's a microcosm of, and I could get on my high horse here, a microcosm of a world that perpetuates and demonstrates exclusivity, or, oh, we're the adults up here and we're going to have a conversation about these matters, and they haven't reached the level yet to have these conversations. So that's I actually read books about this, and some people are in better financial positions to do things, but it doesn't mean the people who aren't in better financial positions can't be part of a conversation. But that's a whole thing. People have to go to therapy for this. It's a whole thing, everybody really. So anyway, with that said, I come on here every day mainly to talk about raising money because of something that got kicked up in 2011. I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment. I had to learn that might have been orchestrated, and I started to piece together all the stuff that happened and realized, I had to put up with this in my brain of, who would do this? Like, who would unleash the dogs? Who let the dogs out? They let them out in Philly big time. And to boot, I was a dog walker. So I am so not kidding with how much has been played with language, themes, and everything else. And that dog walking and dog can even be played into the spiritual realm, because God, spelled backwards, is dog. So we could go down the wormhole. It gets really crazy. And in the end, we all have to exist on in the material realm, if you will. Most of us are flesh and blood and have to figure out, well, I still have to pay bills. I don't know what to say about people who, in other worlds. But point being, If that weren't enough, being scared out of my apartment and made to believe I'd be murdered, trembling, shaking, convulsing, unable to call. I called my sister first, then I called police. The next day, I tried calling my mom because she and my aunt lived together. They were older. They lived in Jacksonville, but what did I get? Doo-doo-doo, we're sorry. The number you're trying to connect or trying to reach has been disconnected. So it felt like a setup. Like my immediate response the next day, in later in the day, because everything happened during the witching hour, like between 3 and 4:30 in the morning. Um, and when I tried to reach my mom and aunt and got that, my immediate response or thought was, that never happens. That never happens. What is this? Clearly something's wrong. Did someone actually like disconnect or snip their lines behind their house? Because they were older, they often used the landline and rarely used cell phones. So it became a whole thing of my sister trying to figure out how to reach them via cell phone connections. So, and the family tree there, which is tenuous at best. And it gets, there are people out there who have gone on to lead other lives and so forth and so on. But anyway, point being, as if that weren't enough, me being scared of my apartment, it seemed like, and I'm pretty certain, the games commenced. It's almost like that song from the Eagles, Hotel California, where they say they gathered for the feast. I sometimes wonder, because that imagery did come up as one theory, that people actually gain from drawing blood from other people, or fear, and trickery, and they gain from harming someone. And sometimes they might even swarm one person to draw that lifeblood. Now I do wonder. I didn't realize that I was so naive, apparently, and wanted to lead a happy, normal life. So anyway, but it was really bad. I sort of went on for, I am not kidding, 6 to 7 more years of like living in a state of paralysis, stunned into submission, running around doing dog walks, and work started to come, and I was walking. My dog walks would be all over the city. It wasn't like they were conveniently in one area. And I was walking, riding my bike. I had bike accidents. I wound up with stitches in my upper lip, the whole 9 yards. And it was pretty crazy, all the while being harassed, very much like whistleblower harassment, much like you would see of the tobacco movie with Russell Crowe. That stuff happened. Here's the dealio. In the movies, they make it seem like justice is easy to get, or easier to get, as if, you can just walk up to a law office or the police and sort of fix everything. That doesn't actually happen in real life. It turns out it could take 20 to 30 years in many cases for people to get justice for things that seem really obvious. In my case, finding a source wasn't so easy. So anyway, I just want to wind it down. There was tons of harassment. You can see the many videos in which I talk about it. Sometimes I describe very specific examples in my BAM short series, BAM, $5 million. I started at 5 million. I actually went 8 because I decided the family members left behind, total 8. So, and that includes younger people who are grandkids, great grandkids, and grandkids. And if each of those people could have a fund, a trust fund, or what have you, $1 million each, done. We will outdo the evil entities that exist out there in the world and feed the brains of America. But in a way, I feel like people shouldn't have, who are the family members left behind, shouldn't have to suffer, and I think they should feel secure for the rest of their lives. But anyway, my pain and suffering, mental anguish, death threats, and so much more is worth way more. And I know it. It's hard to prove. And I know I look all good. I should look like some, zombie drug addict by now because of how bad this was. I don't know why it doesn't always show. It does if you hear me on the street and I snap out into PTSD. So I try to avoid it. But anyway, thank you so much. Have a beautiful Sunday. I really appreciate it. And no family members left behind. And please donate if you can. I totally want all the good people to reverse everything and help people move along so that they can stop being evil in the future. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.